Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please silence all noise-emitting devices at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem and the invocation.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we won, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran loud, the bombs bursting in air, guided through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Would you join me in prayer, please? Dear God in heaven, we give you thanks for the life and career of Chief Howard. 30 years of outstanding service to his Air Force and the airmen that comprise it. Lord, for us to be able to be here today to see the culmination of that service is our honor and pleasure. It was even better to work alongside Chief Howard and to be allies with him in making DM a better place in which to live and work. It says in your word that we are not to look after our own interests, but to put others before ourselves. And that is exactly what Chief Howard did, as he leaves DM a better place than when he first came here. And for that we are so grateful. Lord, I ask your richest blessings to be upon Chief and Mrs. Howard as they close this chapter of their lives and start a new one. May it be as productive and fulfilling and rewarding as their time on active duty. And so, Lord, we say bon voyage and happy trails to a man who gave it his all and held nothing back as he served his country with the utmost of distinction. Bless him always with health and strength. Lead, guide, and walk with him, both now and forever. In your name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Senior Master Sergeant Retired Powell and Chaplain Zuli. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Before we begin our tribute to Chief Howard, I have the honor of introducing my co-master of ceremony for today's event, the Chief's current Executive NCO, Staff Sergeant Danielle Lott. I know the Chief selected Sergeant Laura for this event because of her professionalism and fearlessness. After all, I don't think anyone else can get away with telling the Chief, I finally got your stinking travel vouchers done.
Yeah, you're probably right. but I just really hate DTS. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce my co-master for today's ceremony, the Chief's former executive NCO and my predecessor, Staff Sergeant Marco McLean. The Chief has personally shared with me stories of Sergeant McLean's poise and charisma. Tell me, Marco, just how did the Chief look when you told him, "You smell like onions, do I need to hold my nose?"
It wasn't my fault. You really smell like onions. I know we need to start, but before we do, you have to tell me this. Did you really tell Chief that you could care less where he had his dance ceremony?
Yeah. If you know Chief, he can never make up his mind. Anyway, that was just a bad day. But at least I'm not the exec who got a coin from Chief and then gave it back. Seriously, Marco? Who does that?
Okay, we can get together later and compare notes. But for right now, we better get on with this. This is Chief Howard's ceremony after all, and we all know that he can get a little wordy at times.
Good point. So here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, recognizing a member who is retiring from a career of honorable service is one of the oldest traditions in the military. A retirement ceremony is a prestigious event and the highest honor we can bestow on an Air Force member. Chief Master Sergeant Vincent Howard is the command chief for the 355th Fighter Wing. He entered the military in 1983 as a physical therapy specialist, graduating from both basic training and technical training with honors. After subsequently retraining into cost and management analysis, he ultimately was accepted into the First Sergeant career field, where he served for 15 years, from 1995 until 2010. In July of that year, he was hired by our former wing commander, Colonel John Cherry, to spend the final 2 years of his career serving as the 355th Fighter Wing Command Chief.
This ceremony is to say thank you to the Chief for his faithful service, to wish him good luck in his future endeavors, and bid him a heartfelt farewell as he transitions into retirement. Through this transition, we must remember that military retirement is really just an extension of a military career, for we know that Chief Howard will continue to be a valuable member of the United States Air Force community. The presiding officer for today's ceremony is the 402nd Maintenance Group Commander, Colonel Teresa Humphrey. Colonel Teresa Humphrey served as a 355th Equipment Maintenance Squadron Commander from 2007 to 2008. During that time, she also served as Chief Howard's commander and direct supervisor. Together, they successfully led a team of nearly 800 maintainers and became, in the words of Colonel Humphrey, joined at the brain.
The Chief and Colonel Humphrey led a team of maintenance professionals that, among other things, reduced DUIs by 40%, reduced alcohol-related incidents by 23%, doubled the number of airmen with high morale as validated by the Unit Climate Assessment Survey, and reduced logistics inspection write-ups by a staggering 75%. It was truly a command team to be admired and emulated. So, on behalf of our presiding official, Colonel Humphrey, and the 355th Fighter Wing Commander, welcome. Today we honor Chief Master Sergeant Vincent Howard on his retirement from the United States Air Force and celebrate the culmination of his distinguished career of over 30 years.
As we celebrate Chief Howard's career, we must first welcome some very special guests. Our presiding officer's husband, Andy, and their children, Julia and Angela. From the Chief's family, his beautiful wife, Sarah. His daughter, Candace Williams, and his grandchildren, Sierra and Mia. His daughter, Simone, and his son, Vincent. His mother, Rose Taylor. His brothers, Dwight, Justin, and Robert Howard, along with their families and guests. His cousin, Senior Master Sergeant Mitchell Lawrence from Kirtland Air Force Base, New Mexico.
Along with the Chief's family, we are joined by several distinguished military guests. the 355th Fighter Wing Commander, Colonel James Meager, and his wife, Carrie. The 12th Air Force's Southern Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Gerardo Tapia, and his wife, Alice. The Air Force Nuclear Weapons Center and 377th Air Base Wing Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant John Dougherty, and his wife, Patty. The 162nd Fighter Wing Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Shane Clark. We are also graced with the presence of retired Command Chiefs, Chief Master Sergeant Leighton Clark, Chief Master Sergeant Mike Lane, Chief Master Sergeant Pam Lane, Chief Master Sergeant Keith Cobb, and Chief Master Sergeant Samuel Hagedorn. A round of applause, please, for all retired Command Chiefs in attendance. We are also thankful to be joined by distinguished leaders from the civilian community. Mr. Mark Irving and Mr. Marshall Bennington, Honorary 355th Fighter Wing Command Chiefs. Mr. Mike Rasinger, President of the DM-50. Ms. Ellen Jimenez, Chairman of the Military Affairs Committee. And Ms. Diane Kephart, former Honorary 355th Medical Group Commander. A round of applause for all these members. We also welcome all colonels, commanders, chiefs, first sergeants, friends, supporters, and especially all the men and women of the Desert Lightning Team. Thanks to all for joining us today. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, it is my pleasure to present our presiding officer, Colonel Teresa Humphrey.
Stand behind the podium, I won't be seen.
Sure. Okay, first, this is incredible. You know, when I first was asked to do this, the chief was like, yeah, I'm just going to have a small ceremony in the garage, and you're not going to talk. I said, okay, first of all, I am going to talk, and I outrank you, so I'm going to talk. So his next request was 5 minutes. We'll see if we get there. First, just to echo all the welcome that Sergeant Lombardi gave. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you, Colonel Meager. Colonel Meager and I go way, way, way back. He's way younger or he's way older than he looks. So, okay, Chief Howard. All right, so I have my notes. I'll try to stay to 5 minutes. I can't promise anything. First, to lay the context here, how did Chief and I first meet? Well, I was a major at the time, running around as the MOS commander, wandering out of the wing building, and then Senior Master Sergeant Howard, Chief Select, was wandering around the parking lot. I don't know what he was doing. I'm not sure I knew what I was doing either, but I heard that he was over at EMS. He was brand new. I don't know if you remember this. He could, even if he didn't, he could say he did. And I said, you know, there's that new first sergeant over at EMS. I probably ought to go and introduce myself, but he's a scary man. So I was a little nervous, but I did. I went up and introduced myself. He gave me this odd, you know, that tilt of his head he does. Nice to meet you, and off he goes. So his first memory of me, to me he was a scary man. Apparently to him, I was a scary woman. Because I think he saw me in the gym, and when I'm in the gym, I am really quite antisocial, and apparently that was his impression that I was really scary. Little mean, I think was the word you used. Mean looking. Little did we know that, you know, not too much longer later, we would be leading the greatest squadron in the United States Air Force, the Equipment Maintenance Squadron, which was just a wonderful experience. And by the way, all those things that she mentioned that the squadron did was not me and Chief. It was everybody in the squadron who did that, and me and the Chief just trying to keep the cats herded. It was really an incredible experience. So that's how we met. He asked me not to go through his bio, so I have notes, and look what it's his bio. And by the way, this is accessible on the internet, so don't get on your folks about it. Okay, so just real quick, he starts off as a physical therapist, right? Yeah, there's a reason he didn't stay in that very long. As he was walking me around the hospital following some surgery I had, he tells me, oh yeah, I used to be a physical therapist until I was walking around with somebody. He got distracted. Everybody who knows maybe a young Airman Howard know what he got distracted by, and his patient goes down. And I think he got in trouble for that, but he survived, and they said, you know what, this physical therapy stuff not working out so good for Airman Howard, let's move him into money. He must have done okay, because, you know, he didn't get fired. And then he went to his true calling, which was first sergeant, and I honestly believe that was your true calling, to help people. So again, with that context in mind, you guys have heard of the old, you know, everything I need to know in life I learned in kindergarten. Well, everything we need to know about leadership, we can learn from Chief Howard. And then later on, I'll say everything we need to learn about family, we learn from Chief Howard and Sarah and his family. So here's some key points. I'll try to go through them quickly. Okay, so again from his bio. He's basically a DG or a honor grad from pretty much every single tech school and PME he attended. But I never knew that until I read his bio. And that goes to humility. Chief Howard is a very humble man. You would not know that he had all these accolades unless you bothered to sit down and read his bio before you had to give a few notes about it in the retirement ceremony. But that goes a long way because he doesn't care about how he's doing, he cares about how everybody else is doing. And that's a very important aspect of leadership. It's not about me, it's not about the chief, it was always about the folks that he was getting paid to nurture and bring along. Humility. Sense of humor. Definitely. I think the sense of humor between the chief and I really helped us even more in EMS. We did a lot of laughing because the alternative was too embarrassing. We didn't want to be, you don't want to see him crying, although it would be entertaining. We really had some tough days in EMS bringing that team along. But we kept laughing. We had a good time. So sense of humor. Tough love. You know, he could make people laugh, and he sure as heck could make people cry. Tough love. He's a mean-looking man. I told him, you know, if there's anything you need to change, Chief, you got to quit looking so mean, because people are afraid of you, until you get to know him. But tough love meaning equal standards across the board. It doesn't matter who you are or what rank you are. We all have to meet at certain standards, and he expected everybody to do that. Leadership. Be who you are. Okay, now, for those of you in EMS that are out there, does anybody remember that tutu dance that we did at the squadron party? We might actually have some of the folks that participated in that tutu dance out here, but I'll leave that up to you guys to figure out. The chief, who was that look? The chief did not want to do the tutu dance, right? But now lately I see him thinking he's a musician and a dancer. Moving on. Servant leadership. How many times do we hear about servant leadership? What that means is, and no offense to you, Colonel Leader, no offense to me, but when the chief came to work every day, he wasn't coming to work to serve me or to serve Colonel Leader, the wing commander, whoever he was here to serve was everybody else in the unit. I think we have an article written at some point in time that says, I report to my boss, but I work for my people. Chief Howard worked for his people, no matter who they were. That's leadership. And you can be honest and professional. I don't know how much further I need to go on that one. As a chief would tell you, he would speak his mind, he would let you know, he would usually start with me with a, ma'am? Okay, I got it, tell me what I need to know. But he always stayed professional. That's very important. Now, there's more, but you know, I'm gonna breach the 5 to 10 minute thing. I probably already have, but that's okay. We'll all be okay. Here's the second part, and this is where I might get a little emotional. Everything we need to know about family, we learn from Chief Howard and his family. Sarah, his beautiful wife, and you hear the applause that you guys gave her. It's well earned because Chief Howard would not be Chief Howard if it were not for his wife doing what she does in the background, keeping things going in the home, staying positive, supporting him. And Sarah, you are really a hero. You are so many people's hero because you're such a classy, beautiful, professional chief's wife, and you really are the example of anyone else who gets stuck with a guy like that. No kidding. But what do we learn about family from not only since they've been married, but in the past year has been really a test, and Sarah has blossomed, and you have been there. You've all been there for each other, the whole family, and we can all learn something from that. Power of positive thinking, right? Positive thinking. You know, no matter what happens in life, you can always turn that to something positive. Or you can go around and just be real negative Nelly and just be miserable. Positive thinking, resiliency. I mean, we all hear about that in our mandatory training, right? But there's something to it. And then finally, family. Treating your family as family. They come first. And that's your family at home and your family at work. Because I'll tell you, when I was here, EMS became my family. at work. You guys are still my family. But bless Andy's heart and the kids, they put up with a lot of long hours, but families, taking care of each other, even the ones that might frustrate you a little bit, they're still family, and some people need a little more tough love than others. The chief knew. And even those who got tough love, I think if they didn't appreciate it, then they became non-airmen. But somewhere down their life, they might appreciate it. But just the constant support, even after giving someone some tough love, going back behind them and checking on them, making sure they're okay, that's family. That's taking care of each other. So all of that and more, but we won't get into it because the chief needs his time in the sun. We learned from Chief Howard and his incredible family. So we are definitely going to miss you. The Air Force is going to miss you, but because of your leadership traits and the person you are, there's little bits of Chief Howard running all over this Air Force right now. And that's a good thing. I probably should have scripted that one. I think I'm just going to stop. We're going to miss you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Colonel Humphrey. Ladies and gentlemen, as previously stated, Chief Howard served the Air Force as a first sergeant for over 15 years. He is extremely proud of the fact that by the time he became a command chief, he was the longest-serving first sergeant in the entire United States Air Force.
In recognition of that period of service, first sergeants from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base will now perform a special flag passing ceremony. Master Sergeant Christopher Reams, 355th Operations Group First Sergeant, will come forward to narrate this portion of today's ceremony.
The flag that will be passed is a special flag. It has flown on each aircraft assigned to Davis-Monthan Air Force Base.
Detail, attention. Alert! I am, detail. Hey!
I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop world's tallest building. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over great institutes of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me.
In the cold, cold ground, where before many men have gone. When they come, I'll stand my ground, stand my ground.
I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I am arrogant. I am proud. When I have flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher. My colors a little truer.
Say a prayer for me. Close your eyes and remember me. cold, cold ground, where before many men have gone.
I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshipped. I am saluted. I am respected. I am revered. I am loved. And I am feared.
When they come, I'll stand my ground. Stand my ground. I'll not be afraid. Thoughts of home take away my fear. Sweat and blood hide my veil of tears.
I have fought every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, the deserts of Africa, the cane fields of the Philippines, the rice paddies and jungles of Guam, Okinawa, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq, and a score of places long forgotten by all of those who were with me. I was there.
Many men have gone. Lay me down in the cold, cold ground, where before many men have gone. When they come, I'll stand my ground.
I led my soldiers. I followed them. I watched over them. They loved me. I was on a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-worn, and tired. But my soldiers cheered me, and I was proud.
Once a year, say a prayer for me. Close your eyes and remember me.
I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of countries I have helped set free. It does not hurt, for I am invincible. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of my country. And when it is by those with whom I have served in battle, it hurts. But I shall overcome, for I am strong.
In the cold, cold ground, where before many men have gone. When they come, I'll stand my ground. Stand my ground. I'll not be afraid. away my fear, sweat and
I have slipped the bonds of earth and stand watch over the uncharted new frontiers of space. From my vantage point on the moon, I have been a silent witness to all of America's finest hours. But my finest hour comes when I am torn into strips to be used for bandages for my wounded comrades on the field of battle. When I fly at half-mast or honor my soldiers, and when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving mother at the graveside of her fallen son, I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wave. Dear God, long may I wave.
lay me down in the cold, cold ground, where before many men have gone. When they come, I'll stand my ground.
While preparing for Chief's retirement, he gave myself and Sergeant Herrera a list of folks he wanted invited. On that list, just to give you examples, was Sonny Liston, who we later found out is dead. Mike Tyson, who's a felon, and Muhammad Ali to invite to the retirement ceremony. We couldn't get any of them to join us, but we got you something special. So, Senior Sergeant Herrera, if you could come forward and let Chief know what we got him.
Chief, I owe you a gratitude of thanks. I spent 30 minutes of my life that I'll never get back looking for a dead boxer. And then to top that off with, he wanted Mike Tyson. And we found out, we couldn't get him on base because of his felony record. MSG, I got you back on that one. And then, of course, he wanted the U of A cheerleaders. And I couldn't get the U of A cheerleaders either because they're not in session right now, right, Chief? So one thing you don't know about Chief Howard that I thought I would just go into is, there was one evening where he was hanging out and, he's got to act, somewhat himself and can't do it all the time. And he came across these drunk people, and what did they do is they said, "Hey man, you play ball like you're a big boy." And so he proceeded to tell these drunk gentlemen that he was Mike Tolbert from the San Diego Chargers. And they believed him. So I couldn't get Mike Tolbert here either. But what I did get is something from the San Diego Chargers. You come back, stand up. Chief, on behalf of the men and women here at Davis-Monthan, it says, "Dear Chief Master Howard, on behalf of the entire San Diego Charger family, congratulations on your well-deserved retirement. We are honored to send you this letter extending our sincerest gratitude for your service in the United States Air Force, and would like to thank you for 30 years of exemplary service. We are certain your leadership will be missed at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, as we have heard only good things from your staff. On behalf of the entire team, thank you again for your selflessness, dedication, and commitment to the protection of our country, a commitment that has allowed us the freedom to be able to play and enjoy the game of football for generations. Chief Master Sergeant Howard, our heartfelt congratulations and best wishes to you and your family for this enjoyable retirement. Sincerely, Coach North Turner, San Diego Chargers. And Chief, just so you know, they sent you a shirt as well with the yearbook, so I have that in back for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to present to you, giving his final address on active duty, the 355th Fighter Wing Command Chief, Chief Master Vincent Howard.
Do I have to go? Last year I called for Coach Turner to be fired. I guess I'll take that back. Before we get started, I want to just thank everyone who had something to do with putting this together. Whenever we call, they can never stand up, but this is an order. If you had anything to do with this, please stand. No, I mean it's an order. Before we go any further, I have to stop and give my thanks to Almighty God and His Son, Jesus Christ, because the fact of the matter is, I don't really deserve any of this. I've been rescued in my life over and over and over again, and you know, I don't know what He sees in me, but I want to say publicly that God, I know it's high time that I started paying you what I owe you, and I'm going to get to work on that. What happened? I was going to have fun with that. Like the pine tree lining the winding road, I got a name. I got a name. Like the singing bird and the croaking toad, I got a name. And I'll carry it with me like my daddy did. But I'm living the dream he kept hid, rolling me down the highway, moving me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by. That's Jim Croce. I like all kinds of music, but in San Diego, in the early 80s, R&B, which is my preference, didn't get played all the time. There's only certain times of the day that they played it. So as I woke up to go to the basic training that day in the early 80s, this is the song that's on the radio, and I'm laying in bed, and I'm thinking as I hear this song, I don't want to go anymore. I changed my mind. I really didn't want to join the military, but I didn't know that I could opt out. If I knew that, I probably wouldn't be here right now. So I woke up, kissed my mother, said goodbye to my little brothers, and I went to basic training. I found out that it wasn't that bad. I caught professional success. I was an honor graduate out of basic training. I went on to tech school, and I have really, really, really fond memories of tech school. Marching to school every day. I still remember, and I smelled the bacon as we marched by the chow hall every day. Yeah, it was good. It was good. I remember heading to the post office twice a month to pick up my green check for $231. And I was happy to have that $231 in my pocket. You know, Joan Jett came to concert. You know, we just had a good time in tech school, but You know, I've been known to have a mischievous nature even now, so how much more at age 19. I remember there was one Saturday afternoon that a friend of mine and I, we went and got these big boards. And right outside the front gate of Shepherd, I don't know if it's still there, is the Fiesta Motel. Okay? So my friend and I, we get these boards and we string them up so that we can wear them to our front and our back. And we write Fiesta Motel or Bust on the signs. And we walked up and down. Sorry, Mom. We walked up and down the streets of Shepherd, trying to make people laugh and maybe get a few offers. We made a lot of people laugh. We only got one offer. It was an offer to stand at attention for about an hour in front of my first sergeant while he educated me in the art of profanity. I got to put a phrase together, I'll tell you that. But here's we're talking about rescue. I graduated from that tech school as the undergraduate from that school as well. My friend ultimately got discharged. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about when I'm talking about saves and things that I don't really deserve. I'm not going to go through my entire career. I do not consider it that thrilling, which it was my decision to absolutely forego the traditional shadow box that is traditionally handed off to airmen that are retiring. What I will say is this, though. Over the 30 years, as I got into various types of trouble, alcohol, divorce, financial, performance issues, I learned something. I learned to never quit, to never surrender. I never gave up on Vince Howard, and I learned to always get up. I often asked why, but I never said no. And not saying no sometimes will put you out of your comfort zone, which is another lesson. It's something that I say over and over again. I can't say it often enough. You can't be what you want to be if you stay comfortable too long. You have to stretch yourself. You have to push yourself because there really are no limits. And if you fall, get up. Winston Churchill said that success is not final and failure is not fatal, but it's the courage to continue that counts. So I trudged on. I was easily bored. I still am. So it's true. I embraced innovation. And not saying no, it brought discomfort at times. Hence the lesson about not staying in your comfort zone. But the other thing that my career has taught me is that although I don't consider myself a great man, you can't even attempt to attain greatness if you're doing it just for yourselves. You have to find a purpose outside of you if you want to try to be great. And that's why I consider my first sergeant years the real launching pad of my military career. As stated, I was a first sergeant from 1995 to 2010 at 9 squadrons, 23 squadron commanders. I counted it up, figured with transitions probably in the neighborhood of 6,000 airmen. I suffered with my airmen through their relationship problems, alcohol issues, depression, and death. I celebrated with them through re-enlistment, awards, promotion, and retirement. I looked after their welfare and their health and their morale, and I was absolutely fearless when my airmen were threatened. And as stated, I was the longest serving first sergeant in the United States Air Force. Nobody had been a first sergeant longer than me when I gave up my diamond. And yeah, you can applaud me on that. Must have been out of my damn mind, dear first sergeant. Well, my first sergeant journey ended in 2010. Colonel Cherry hired me to be the Command Chief Master of the 355th Fighter Wing. And I'll tell you, as the Colonel has alluded to, anyone who saw me dance to Soldier Boy with 4 of my fellow fun-loving chiefs, and 3 of them are here. Command Chief Dockley was there, Chief Gaylor was there, Chris Lopez there? Chris was there. We had a good time that night. And anyone who maybe saw me act in the play we put on earlier, it's called The Nerd. I wasn't the nerd, it was Chief Blue. Chief Blue was the nerd. I played this cool black guy that hung by the bar, kept a drink in his hand and said funny comments. I pulled it. Or you might have saw me singing on stage just last month, a few weeks ago. Come and did the talent show, and Sergeant Herrera and I did a few numbers, but all in the name of raising airman morale. But anyone who's seen me do these things knows that no job or position can squelch my natural fun-loving nature. But I've done some significant things. I've got some significant opportunities as Command Chief of the 355th Fighter Wing. I shook the hand of President Obama. I shook the hand of the First Lady. I got to salute the Commander-in-Chief in person. I met and spoke with Senator O'Connor, the first female Supreme Court Justice in the United States. At dinner with Oscar de la Hoya, my nephew. I had lunch with the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mullen. I worked out with Billy Blanks and Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords asked me for the honor of taking a picture with me. So I've had a chance to do some things, but nothing even comes close to the experience of serving with you all, with the Desert Lightning Team. My airmen were the first airmen in 12 years to pass their readiness inspection on the first go. First in 12 years. It was awesome to see. I was out there with them as we were trying to regenerate sorties. And the inspectors told us, I'm sorry, we've already failed on 4 sorties and the max is 3, so you can't pass. And my airmen, your airmen, collectively said, what does that got to do with us? Our job is to generate sorties. Inspection, no inspection. Deployed, home station. Hot, cold, windy, whatever the situation is, our job is to get our aircraft in the air and keep them there. And that's just what they did. It was hot that day. Colonel Cherry and Colonel Milo were with me and we walked the line trying to keep people upbeat. So I know that they had to be exhausted. But the inspectors had to look at the passion and the talent and their enthusiasm. And they had to look at that test and go, this test can't be valid. Because these airmen, the quality of these airmen, they can't fail. So those inspectors disregarded their own criteria and passed these airmen. I don't think I've ever been proud of a group. How about a hand for our men? My airmen and your airmen earned the distinction of saying we're the best in the world. We're the #1 base in the entire Air Force. That makes us best in the world. 161 installations could have done it, but they couldn't have done it this year because the Desert Lightning Team was on the prowl. #1 of 161. Again, I'm goosebummed now thinking about it. I've done significant things, high-level things, with the president and the chairman and et cetera, but nothing compares to watching you all do your thing. As I look around the audience, I see numerous family members by blood, marriage, military, church, and you all don't have time for me to acknowledge everyone that needs to be acknowledged. But I will say something to a few, my extended family for being here, my children, my beautiful grandchildren. Are they being quiet? Are they good? Yeah. My beautiful, well-behaved grandchildren. My mother, former Staff Sergeant Rose Taylor, my brothers and their families, my cousin is here, my nieces. We left you off the intro, but I'm happy that you're here. With the exception of my brother Justin, who served in the Army, and my mother and my cousin Mitch, For the rest, this might be the first military ceremony I've ever attended, so I'm especially happy that you all are here today. I want to say something to our community leaders, leadership of DM50, Ellen, Diane, and my honorary command chiefs. Where's my honorary command chiefs? They will not permit me to tell you what they do with the Desert Lightning team because they don't do it for publicity, but I will tell you that it's significant. And I'll also say to all the community leaders here that this is the best relationship with between a base and a community I've ever seen in my time, and you all are the reason why. And I thank you for being here to honor me and my family. My fellow chiefs, my brothers and sisters, I thank you for your guidance and your support and your honesty. You are the senior enlisted leaders of the base, and I learned a lot from you. And I wish I could go by name, but I do want to say a special thank you to my command chief, Chief Tapia, my former command chief, Chief Clark, and Chief Command Chief Dr. Kane, and my partner in crime, Duane Gaylor. You know, whenever I feel like getting silly, I can always come to Chief Gaylor and come and not talk me out of it. So, you know, I appreciate the leadership and guidance of all the chiefs on DM. You saw my lions on stage. You saw a few of them. Those are my first sergeants. Those are your first sergeants. First of all, I don't even know what I can say about that flag passing ceremony. I'm speechless. That was awesome, First Sergeant. I thank you for that. I don't think, First Sergeants, that I can tell you how proud I am of you for what you do day to day. And since words can't really tell the story, I'll just say, I'll give you the highest praise that I know, and that's your First Sergeant. So am I. You know it, I know it, and they know it. You're the Lions. Stay on the hunt. I believe two of my former section commanders are here. Major Devlin, Captain Ellerby. I got really funny stories about them. Really funny. I might be persuaded to tell them tonight, but I'll tell you that Major Devlin delayed her PCS to stay here with me. Captain Ellerby came in from Louisiana to be with me today, and I really appreciate both of the new officers. They know how to take care of their enlisted airmen. They were enlisted airmen once themselves, and I'm proud of them as well. In his absence, I want to thank my former command chief, Chief Schweik, for putting me in a position to be here. My presiding officer, Colonel Humphrey, at the risk of bragging, ma'am, I believe that our command team should be emulated. We got great things done. I don't know who else that I'd rather have sitting up here with me, but I will admit that a lot of the things that you all hear me say and do is because I'm emulating this leader right here. And ma'am, I hope that you're not being promoted because enlisted airmen need your leadership. And thank you for being with me. Our former wing commander, John Cherry, although he's absent, the only officer in my career who looked at every chief in the Air Force and said, I want that guy. I want that guy to ride with me. And then he picked me, and then he got out of the way, and he gave me the authority, and he gave me the support, and he gave me everything I needed to get our vision executed. So although Colonel Cherry cannot be here, he's already a PCS, I want to say, boss, thank you. Obviously, could have done it without you, but I really appreciate the opportunity to serve as the command chief of Group 55th. I have friends that have come from some from faraway places, Money Standback, Jeff Stark, Christy Kirk. I thank you for coming from out of town to be here. That says a lot. I have friends, the Millers, who can't be here, who had a recent death in the family, but these people prove that some relationships outlast military service, and that's a good thing. My assistant first sergeants, Grant Luke, Henry Ellis, Ty Lewis, John Van Voorst, Jeanette Watson, Deb Hofstra, Tina Conlon, and Jay Odo. Jay, are you here? Hi, Jay. You all, I'm only up here because of you all's dedication and support. I mean, we were a team as well, and I appreciate it. Every assistant first sergeant I had was outstanding, and Jay's another one that came from out of town to be with me today, and I appreciate you for that. My execs and our MCs. Rich Parsons is currently employed, curse out. Daniel Lara, Mariko McLean. I tell you, you all are not superstars in the making, you're superstars today. I don't think that anyone can really appreciate how hard you work and what you do to support me, and supporting me, you're supporting them. You're both tireless, you're professional, I know sometimes, people call up and they're blah, blah, and they're mad. Sometimes mad at me. I never know it because you are blocking me. I call you family. I call you my children because that's what I consider you. And our relationship will also not be terminated by military service. And I have something for both of you. Come on. How much more time? I got a little bit more. I want to talk about the Herrera family. On the night that my spouse was diagnosed with breast cancer, Hector Herrera called me at home. And he said, "Chief, I'm your first sergeant now. I've got your front, I've got your back, I've got you to both sides, and I'll carry you when you get tired." And I'll tell you that this senior and still right here, Hector Herrera, he's not the type of guy to say, "Call me if you need me." He's the type of guy who will call you whether you need him or not. And Hector, you've been there every step of the way with us. I consider you a brother, and I appreciate what you've done for me. We'll talk about his spouse, Aubrey Herrera. Without a doubt, the most all-in person I've ever met in my entire life. Aubrey is a stage 3 breast cancer survivor herself. In addition to that, runs the law office, served the fighter wing staff as the superintendent, led the team. It was a big team that put it together. Aubrey led it, wouldn't let me touch it. Every time I tried, she told me to be quiet. And Aubrey also, along with Hector, took leave. Took a week's leave as my wife was recovering from surgery. Was in the hospital for 6 days. Just spent 16 to 18 hours by her bedside, just keeping morale up, watching movies, making people laugh. She's an awesome individual. She's special to us. Both Herreras are, and I have something for you all as well. It's not yours. To the Herrera family, you have my undying appreciation. Thank you. Now my wife Sarah, 18 years in now, and I would say more than any person in the room, myself included, responsible for every promotion, every accolade that I've received since we met and I was a tech sergeant. Today my wife is also a breast cancer survivor. She's strong. She also is my support system. You know, it took me, it's not in the Bible, I think it is, but it took me 9 years to go from master to senior. And every year, when I thought I was in the game, I came back disappointed. There's Sarah, pushing me, supporting me, taking care of egos and encouraging me. I remember one year, I left that day and I said, "Today we're going to shock the world." And when I got home, my head all down. She said, "Did we shock the world?" I said, "No, I shocked myself." No promotion for me. When I wanted to surrender on it, I kept going until I made senior master sergeant. When I said that I wasn't going to make it go at chief because I was tired, Sarah said, "Give it one shot." studied. They should force it. And I studied, and I made the first shot. So, Sarah, these honors are not mine, they're yours. I don't know how to say any better than just to say that I appreciate you, thank you, and I love you. I want to talk about my first love, not my only love, but my first love. My first love took me in when I had nothing. I didn't have $1. I didn't want to do anything. I wasn't even a man yet. But my first love gave me status, the money in my pocket, gave me direction. My first love never surrendered on me, even when sometimes you look I was going to surrender on it. But my first love is the United States Air Force. I will never leave her. When the ceremony ends, I'm going to take her home with me, and that's going to be unending. There are hundreds of you here today, but I'm no hero. There's a message to my airmen. You are my heroes. You are my legacy. So fight hard, because winners win. Be courageous and always get up. I entered the military a boy. I'm leaving a man. I will always be an airman, and I will always have your back. Chief Kenoda, would you stand up and let me brag about you? This is Chief Master Sergeant Donna Kenoda. She is smart. She is energetic. She is committed. She's sincere. She's an airman's airman. And since she's been hired to be, in the months that have occurred since she got hired, she's become a great friend. I want you all to welcome, in the next few minutes, the new Command Chief Master Sergeant for the 355th Fighter Wing, Chief Master Sergeant Donna Kenoda and her husband Randy. Welcome on your team. It's almost time. I'm going to finish up. I'm a big fan of Coach Vincent Lombardi. I think he's a great coach, a great leader. And I'm going to finish with a quote from Coach Lombardi. Coach Lombardi said, after the cheers have died down and the headlines have been written, and the pomp and fanfare has faded, and you are left in the quiet of your room, the enduring things that are left are the dedication to excellence, the dedication to victory, and the dedication to having done the best you could. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my career in a nutshell. I'm not great, but I always get up when I fall. I took my service to you seriously. I never said no, and I did the very best I could. And because I really admire Coach Lombardi, I'm going to leave you with one more thing. As you look around the people on the Desert Lightning team that are slipping, or new people that are coming in, this is from Coach Lombardi and Chief Howard. You let them know, if they don't know, that if you're not a winner, you don't belong here. I'm going to end this like I started, with your coaching. I know I can share it if you want me to, but if you're going my way, I'll go with you. Rolling me down the highway, moving me down the highway, moving ahead so life won't pass me by. Desert Lightning team, I will miss you. I love you. I do. I thank you, and I thank you for sharing the last 30 years with me.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the presentation of the Meritorious Service Medal to Chief Master Sergeant Vincent Howard. Attention to orders. Citation to accompany the award of the Meritorious Service Medal, 6th Oak Leaf Cluster, to Chief Master Sergeant Vincent L. Howard. Chief Master Sergeant Howard distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service to the United States as Command Chief Master Sergeant, 355th Fighter Wing, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, Arizona, from 15 July 2010 to 1 December 2012. During this period, Chief Howard initiated revision of the wing's outdated strategic plan, resulting in a clearer focus for the installation and a more defined organizational direction. His exceptional leadership was instrumental in the completion of the 2012 Headquarters Air Combat Command Operational Readiness Inspection. enabling the wing to become the first active-duty A-10 unit in 12 years to successfully earn a passing grade on the first attempt.
The quality of Chief Howard's leadership was again demonstrated as he led the installation to set the highest of standards, which was confirmed when the base won the 2012 Commander-in-Chief's Installation Excellence Award, validating the installation status as the #1 Air Force base in the world from 101 installations throughout the United States Air Force, and earning a $1.1 million award for the base. Finally, Chief Howard's unwavering commitment to the Desert Lightning team and local community resulted in his selection by the Tucson Chamber of Commerce as one of Southern Arizona's top 25 most influential African Americans for 2012. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Chief Howard culminate a long and distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force.
Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force, Washington, D.C. Special Order Number AC-004250. Chief Master Sergeant Vincent L. Howard is relieved from active duty from 355th Fighter Wing, Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, Arizona, and retired effective 1 December 2012 in the grade of Chief Master Sergeant after 30 years, 2 months, and 14 days of faithful and honorable service by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Congratulations, Chief.
Party at the Mirage Club at 1900, but for those who are not attending, there will be cake and punch in the theater lobby.